Alright, so now we move on to homology. Homology, I don't know, it's your choice if you want to pronounce it. It's an evidence to prove evolution. It's technically, you would have like the same bone structure as compared to like other organisms, but they would be used for different functions. And this is because it's of how it's evolved over like the whole timeline of when the organism has existed, and how stuff like environmental conditions affected it, and all that sort of stuff. Related species can have characteristics that have an underlying similarity, yet they function differently. And this is called homology. Now there's an example right here. If you see all of these all have the same bone structure. I mean, not exactly, but they have all the bones. Like, all of them have the similar bones. They might be different in length or size, but they all have the similar bones, so that means they have similar structures inside their body, but then they're used for different functions. This one is of a bat, and that is used, obviously bats would use that structure to fly. Whales would use their structure to move in water. Cats would use their structure to move around land, and humans would use the structure to obviously pick up items or do other things. And yep, that is homology. So, talking about homologies, you obviously have similarities in the anatomical and molecular level. Some organisms have similarities anatomically. The example that I just showed you is an example of anatomical homology, while some have it at the molecular level. Obviously, all species have descended from a common ancestor, so meaning from the same genetic code. So they all would have similarities in the genetic level, and that would make up for its molecular similarity. So like obviously the example I just showed you, they all have the anatomical similarities. They have the same arrangement of bones, but then they're all used for different functions, which explains the anatomical homology. Nested patterns and homologies. The nested patterns are technically shared similarities between species, and that plays an important role in testing like different hypotheses. So an example of this would be like tetrapods. They all have backbones because they're all vertebrates, right? And unlike other vertebrates, tetrapods also have a limb with digits. So this means like this technically forms a nested pattern. They all share like some features. All vertebrates would have a backbone, so that's the shared feature. And so that's with like a larger group, all of the vertebrates have a backbone. And then it has each successive smaller group, and they all have their own homologies. Like all tetrapods, like with the group of tetrapods, they all have a backbone and also a limb with digits, which is specific and also like unique than compared to the group of vertebrates. Because a specific group of vertebrates, which are called tetrapods, they have limbs with digits, which is its own successive group of homologies. And this is literally what nested patterns are about, and also shows descent with modification from a common ancestor.